Hey there, true believers. You're tuned into Baxter Building Radio via the Negative Zone feed, and you are listening to episode 26 of the Fantastic Four Fancast. My name's Nate Charles. I'm your host, and I'm joined by my co-host. His name's Shane Murray. How you doing tonight, Shane?
I've definitely had way better weeks, buddy. This week started with a whole lot of time in the hospital, and a whole lot more time going to be spent in the hospital.
You okay?
I'm fine. Kid's not. We're getting there. He's not dying, so no concerns there, but yeah, bad stuff.
Well, I wish him well. Luckily, he didn't lose any limbs, did he?
No, only he almost lost an appendage.
Well, that's a limb.
It's more like a little one, like a little toey woey.
Oh, geez, that sounds terrible. Did he drop something on them?
No, he says he did it playing soccer, but I don't know. It's not great.
Yeah, doesn't sound great. I'm sorry to hear that. Hope Liam's feeling better.
Yeah, I think we all are gonna be hoping that soon enough. But how about your week, bud?
Oh, I went up to the comic shop here the other day and picked up some books. I'm working on planning a Comic-Con for us here in lovely Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. So that's fun. I think I'm finally far enough in that process to be able to announce that on air. So
Cool.
if you're in the northeastern Pennsylvania area or just the Pennsylvania area in general, or any of the surrounding states, you want to come into Bloomsburg in May. I believe we're shooting for May 9th. You should come check us out. I know I'm going to do a lot of comic shops around the state with flyers and whatnot and trying to recruit vendors. So
It sounds like it's gonna be a good time.
yeah, yeah, we were tossing around guests yesterday. No one to announce as of yet, but as we
Yeah,
get
clearly.
closer, I will definitely be talking about that. But yeah, I get to be assistant promoter on this show, which I don't know, you might say has me dancing around like a puppet on a string.
Oh,
Speaking of which,
foreshadowing.
I would like to go ahead and get down to today's issue, Shane.
Oh yeah. Let's play the games.
I was gonna say, you sound so excited for
I am. I'm
it.
excited for it.
All right. Well, today we are covering Fantastic Four Volume 1, Number 8, cover dated for November of 1962, actually released on August 9th of 1962 with a cover price of 12 cents. Shane, what is the significance of this book?
So this is what the first appearance of Alicia Masters, right?
Yes, yes, I would say that is the biggest first appearance in the book. It is also the first appearance of the Puppet Master, her stepfather.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess her stepfather's kind of a big deal also.
Yeah, but definitely I would say that the most significant debut in this book is that of Alicia Masters, long
I
time.
did say Puppet Master to you when we talked about this earlier. I was like, "Oh, the Puppet Master issue," and then now I'm just like, "Oh, Alicia Masters. Who gives a fuck about or who cares about the Puppet Master?"
Yeah, Alicia Masters, longtime supporting cast member and wife of Ben Grimm.
Yep.
Strangely enough, you could also say she was the wife at one point of Johnny Storm, but
We don't want to talk about that.
yeah, that Alicia was a scroll. And yeah, we don't want to talk about that too much this episode, but I guarantee you we will get to that somewhere down the line
Mhm.
because I grew up on those Tom DeFalco, Paul Ryan issues. So,
Well, that's sad for you, but we'll get there.
all right. Well, Shane, you ready to play Price is Right?
Oh yeah. I can only imagine what the price of this book is going to be.
Okay, so for those of you who do not know, even though we do this every episode, I never really explain what Price is Right rules are because I just assume everybody knows. But that is guessing the price without going over the actual price. Shane, what do you think a graded 9.8 copy of this book has sold for? And be aware, listeners, as always, this isn't an overstreet value I'm looking for. I've actually looked up what these have sold for via pricecharting.com.
Yeah.
So we're not looking for an overstreet value here. Shane, go ahead and make your guess for a graded
I'm gonna
9.8 copy.
s- I'm gonna start with a stupid number because I'm sure this book is very expensive. So, 22,000.
22,000. Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
Shane, a graded 9.8 copy of this book has sold for $22,426.28. That was an amazing guess.
Let's go.
How about an ungraded copy, Shane? What do you think that's sold for?
Uh, 750.
So the ungraded value that I've seen it top out at here, $171.48. You were
That's a
over,
great
sir.
value, but that's not having a cover on it.
Most likely not. Might also be having a detached centerfold, maybe have a couple stamps put in it, maybe a couple stamps taken out of it. Of course, this was
Yeah,
before
you're
Marvel value stamps, so maybe not.
yeah, you're talking like that's a restapled fake cover issue for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, I wish, honestly, I
But
wish I could actually see the copies of these that have sold at these prices. Like, I understand what you're looking for in a graded 9.8, but I would love to actually get a look at that encapsulated book and also the ungraded copy just to have a point of reference.
well, I mean, we have that graded or we get to stare at a graded number one. We know what that looks like at whatever that is, two,
Yeah,
right? Two, five.
yeah, it's a 2.5. I think it's going to sell for at least 8K when it goes out the door. And it's a little ratty, but the big flaw that I see on it, and it's not necessarily a deal breaker for me if I had that kind of money, is just the fact that the issue one box is circled by a pen. So
Yeah, that is a weird thing that it is circled by a pen, but like that's the only time we're ever probably holding a number one in our hands, and we both got to do it at least once before it got encapsulated. So,
that is true. Very true. All right, creative team for today's book. We have Stan Lee as writer, Jack Kirby pencils, Dick Ayers inker, Stan Goldberg colorist, Artie Simic is letterer, and Stan Lee handles the editor and editor-in-chief duties. Shane, would you like me to read you a synopsis?
yeah,
I can't. Marvel Unlimited doesn't have one, so you know what time it is
for real.
for real.
Okay.
Time for the
Uh,
Shaneopsis.
time for a Shaneopsis. So, in this issue, does the Fantastic Four finally meet their match when the aforementioned Puppet Master starts making mimics of the Fantastic Four and slowly takes them down one at a time? Will they survive or will they be puppets?
It might be your best one yet. I'm not gonna lie. Because you say aforementioned simply because we were talking about the Puppet Master, not because he was mentioned anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's
You know,
true.
maybe I'm gonna start posting your Shaneopsises as like the hooks for our episode, like in a description. Like that's
Listen to this guy.
anyway. Uh, go ahead and take us through the cover, please, Shane.
Yeah. So this cover is really cool. Or it's curtains for you. Anyway, so it does have curtains on it. That was my joke. Anyway, and the puppet master's there with his little, well, I don't know. There's a word for those and I can't think of it.
They're like it's what you use to puppeteer a marionette,
Yeah, but there's a word for those and I cannot think of it.
but it's not like we don't have something at our disposal that would probably,
The
uh,
Googles.
yeah, that will probably
Probably
answer that question for us.
probably worth a Google.
We live in an amazing age of technology, of which Reed Richards in 1961 never dreamed.
The control
It's
bar.
it's literally called, yeah, a marionette control bar. Yes.
Fair enough. So you have the puppet master playing with a control bar, which is it has strings wrapped around each member, sort of going off of both of the control bars. You have Reed reaching across, trying to grab Thing's face. You have the Thing grabbing some of the control bar and like pulling Johnny back away from Reed. Sue's over there with like it looks like a headache. I'm not sure what she's got going on there. Maybe she's just concerned.
I think she's concerned.
And then you get the nice prisoners of the puppet master on the bottom. And then there's some thought bubbles, there's some speech bubbles. I cannot do justice to these, but I'll read these if you just leave if you want to do the inside voices, or if you can read them. It's up to you.
Oh, I'm used to doing the speech bubbles at this point, Shane. I can do that. So you have the puppet master saying, "Obey me, my puppets, for my will is your will. You shall never escape your new master." And Thing, as he tears at those strings coming off the control bars, yells, "I can't help myself. The puppet master is making me attack the others." And while Reed, like you said, stretching out towards Ben, yells, "Don't, Thing! We mustn't let him control us." So go ahead and describe the puppet master to us, Shane.
And oh, like in this image right here,
I mean,
it's a
overall,
overall would be good.
yeah, I
Like
mean, this is obviously a very striking image of him and really sets the stage. But yeah, I mean, it's more or less to get an overall description of the puppet master.
so he's a bald puppeteer that found some radioactive clay and that lets him build puppets of pretty much anyone he wants and control them like a puppeteer would. He's very menacing and he is the worst stepfather of all time.
So yeah, he's stepfather of Alicia Masters. Do you know what the puppet master's real name is? We do not find it out in this book.
You know what's funny is it's just not coming to me, but I do know it.
So puppet master's real name is Philip Masters. And this actually doesn't get revealed until a little over a decade later in 1972's Marvel Team Up number 6, which is a team up between Spider-Man and the Thing. That radioactive clay that you mentioned, some fun facts about that. So Philip Masters is actually a native of Transia, which I'm assuming sounds familiar to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, home of the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver,
Hmm.
and also the location of Wundagore Mountain, famed stronghold of the High Evolutionary, and said to imprison the elder god Cathan. So we actually find out about 15 years later after this issue in Marvel 2-in-1 number 41, which is a team up with The Thing and Brother Voodoo, that his radioactive clay he actually mined from the base of Wundagore Mountain, and that it's not so much radioactive as it is enchanted by the elder god Cathan, which that wasn't revealed until another 5 years later in the official handbook of the Marvel Universe number 8.
We're in somewhere in the 80s now, right?
Yeah, yeah, 1983. So 20, 21 years after this issue was published.
I'm like, wait a second. 10, 15, 5. I'm like, we're back there a minute.
Yeah, but I'm proud of you because you kept with me and you figured out exactly where we were. So congratulations. That and your 22K guess means I'll buy you a Coke.
I like Cokes.
One of the things that I do really enjoy about the Puppet Master's design, even though he is insanely creepy looking, fact that his face is based off of that of a ventriloquist dummy.
Oh, it really is. Never thought about that before, but it really, really is.
Just very menacing.
So, does he predate? Oh, well, I can't think of that ventriloquist. You
Scarface
know,
and the ventriloquist
yeah,
from Batman.
yeah.
He definitely does because Scarface and the ventriloquist, I believe, was created by Alan Grant and Norm Brayfogle in Detective Comics in the late 80s. Though, now that you say that, I feel like that would be a great crux if they decided to continue with these Marvel and DC crossovers that they've become so fond of again lately for a Batman Fantastic Four book, which would be phenomenal.
Yeah. So because I went down that rabbit hole, 88 was his first appearance.
Sounds about right. I have that issue floating around somewhere.
Issue 583. In case anyone's wondering, I'm sure you're listening to a Fantastic Four podcast to hear DC fans ramblings.
I think the most important thing is that we're just fans of comics here. I mean, we love the Fantastic Four, but we do read other things.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I do love the Fantastic Four. Just oh, I always say that just because I have the bullet tattooed to me.
You do.
And that was when they switched away from the bullet when I got that, remember?
I do remember that. Yeah.
Now we're back. What's the good comes back. Not
I mean,
always.
that bullet logo is just so iconic.
Yeah.
All right, so we open up into this book and we are greeted with the title, which is The Fantastic Four in,
The Prisoners of the Puppet Master.
and our credits for this issue are just Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. None of the other individuals that we talked about are listed here on page one. And what are we seeing here in this opening half-page splash, Shane?
So we see Reed in his laboratory working on a project while Johnny and Sue are trying to keep Ben out from getting in there.
And Reed and Sue and Johnny are all in their uniforms. Go ahead and describe how Ben's dressed.
Um, Ben is in a beautiful purple trench coat with a scarf wrapped up and has his green trousers and his green top hat. Or a green fedora, really, I guess.
Oh, you're not going to mention those
Those
wonderful
killer
circular
sunglasses.
sunglasses? Yeah.
Yeah, those are some killer sunglasses.
And Reed, as he handles the capsule, says, "The thing. I didn't expect him back so soon. Keep him out, Torch. Don't let him in here." "Sorry, Thing. Reed is working on something secret." "So what? I'm one of the Fantastic Four, ain't I?" "We can't explain now, but you mustn't enter. Please, Ben, trust me. Don't enter Reed's lab." "Bah. How come you only call me Ben when you want something? All the rest of the time, I'm just the thing to all of you." And he lifts Sue out of his way. "Hey, put Sue down." "Relax, Sonny. I ain't gonna hurt her. I'm just getting her out of the way because I got a feeling things are gonna get rough around here." And after he sets Sue atop of a bookcase, he begins to approach Johnny. "Okay, now, I'm gonna teach you and that walking rubber band not to try and keep secrets from me." "Thing, wait! You don't understand." "I understand plenty. I'm through being a patsy for you two grandstanders. You're real buddy-buddy with me when you need my muscle. But whenever something important comes along, I ain't good enough to be told about it. Well, now there's gonna be some changes around here." And what does Johnny do here?
Johnny blasts him with a fire blast because, Johnny.
"Listen, you big lump of lard. Don't try to scare me. Here, see what your strength can do against my Roman candle punch." "Look out, Junior. That's hot." "If you think that's hot, I'll just circle you with this ring of fire until you can cool off." "Sonny, that flame of yours don't burn forever, and when it dies down, I'm gonna make mincemeat out of you." But Reed produces a fire extinguisher and begins to, for lack of a better term, extinguish Ben. "Knock it off, both of you. Here, Thing, I'll douse that flame for you." Boy, Reed's getting to be Mr. Killjoy of 1962. "He's only trying to help." "Now look, Thing, I can explain why I didn't want you in my lab." "Stow it, chum. I'm fed up to here with your smooth talk. I'm cutting out of this combo as of now. The Fantastic Four can go to blazes for all I care." And Ben puts on his hat and starts to march off. "Thing, wait. You're making a big mistake." "Reed, what will we do?" "It's a puzzlement, Sue. Ben is one hard-headed guy. You'd better follow him invisibly. Your costume would attract too much attention." And so, what are we seeing?
So we see Sue following Ben through the city invisibly and trying to argue with him that he needs to turn around and come back. I think that Reed underestimates how much just her talking to him while invisible is just going to make a problem in the city. Not the superhero suit. This guy has some weird misconceptions.
I mean, he's trying his best.
I'm sorry.
And Sue says, Ben, you can't walk out like this. We need you. Sure, that's why you treat me like Dracula's brother. Sorry, lady, I ain't buying. And speaking of attention, Shane, what happens?
So two guys standing behind them start talking to each other about Ben talking to himself and looking like a crazy maniac.
Hey, what gives? I don't know. Look at that big clown talking to himself. Now get lost, sister. Save that sob stuff for Reed. He eats it up. Hey, Mac, you some kind of nut or something? Who wants to know? We do, fatso. How about introducing us to the lady you were talking to? Yeah, what was she? A gremlin or one of the good fairies? And the one in a tan suit bows as if introducing himself to someone who isn't there, while Sue is behind him. And what does she do?
Oh, she gives him a prompt kick in the tushy, which makes him fall flat onto his face.
I'll bet you've never been kicked by a gremlin before, wise guy. Oh, holy smoke! He went flying all of a sudden. Well, what's going on? And Ben then proceeds to wrap a lamppost around the remaining person. While you try to figure it out, Big Mouth, here's a lamppost you can lean against. I'll even wrap it around you so you don't fall on your ugly face like he did. But Sue sees something to the sky that she points at. Thing, forget about them. Look up there. Where? And what is Sue pointing at?
She's pointing at a guy who, proportionally wise, is massive to see him look like that on the bridge, that big. But yeah, she sees a shadow going up a bridge.
On the bridge! That man, he'll be killed! And we get a close up on this gentleman as he's climbing up the suspension cable. Those ships, there's about four of them in the background as you're looking down into the river. They look fairly small into comparison, so he's real high up there.
Oh yeah, he's way up there.
And he says, I have to climb to the top, but I don't know why. He's too far away. There's no way for us to stop him. But perhaps Mr. Fantastic or the torch can do something. And Sue fires her flare gun. A split second later, the most dramatic sight in the city appears in the sky, the call to action of the most colorful team of adventurers the world has ever known, the awe-inspiring flare signal of the Fantastic Four. And we see that four-shaped flare shine up behind the Baxter building. Look, Reed, her signal. It must be from Sue. The flare is hovering over the bridge tower. There's someone up there. And Reed has a pair of binoculars. What does Reed do here?
So Reed tries to grab him from the Baxter building by reaching out one giant paw, like straight out the thing, trying to reach the bridge.
And how close would you say he gets to this man?
He gets really close to him. He's probably within 15 feet.
He's about to jump. If I can only. Ugh, no, it's too far. Can't make it. It's up to you, Torch. Good luck, partner. Flame on! And Johnny leaps out the window and flies towards the bridge. Hold it, fella! Don't do it! His eyes, that glazed look, as though he's in a trance. At that moment, in another part of town, a strange, ominous figure bends over a small scale model of the very same bridge and. Now, this is the moment. The moment for you to leap to the water below. Go, my helpless puppet. Jump, just as your real life prototype will also jump at the same instant. You, a nameless nobody, will be my first test of power. And he has a small, exact replica of this gentleman. And what do we see?
What do we see? We see the puppet master put his finger right on the back of his head to push him forward.
But before the spellbound victim can take another step, he is seized by the human torch, and what does Johnny do?
Johnny grabs him and brings him to safety by his grabbing him from his wrists.
Phew, just made it. And one thing I actually really like about this
Mhm.
panel is that you see that Johnny has flamed off his hands here to grab this gentleman by the wrist and carry him down from the bridge.
Yeah, there's that, and the fact that he was smart enough to grab him by the wrist and not the hands, because the guy could have let go if he grabbed him by the hands.
Very true. And a few miles away, we actually see from the top of the head of this puppet that the puppet master has a little flame sparks off. Ow! My finger! I burned it! But how? Only one living creature could have done this. It means the human torch will be the puppet master's next victim. And we turn our page to move into part two, which is titled what, Shane?
The hands of the puppet maker.
And as the puppet master clenches at his burned hand, we see him surrounded by a couple marionettes here. What do we got?
We have, it looks like the chief of police, the mayor, some random lady back there, a dancer, and a prisoner.
And in through the door, we see a red-haired girl in a red dress walk in, and she cries out, Father, I heard you cry out. What is wrong? Nothing, Alicia. It is no concern of yours, he says as he watches the human torch carry this gentleman to safety out the window. I have work to do. Return to your room, and I have told you to never call me father. I am only your stepfather. Do you understand? Yes. And we turn the page and we see the puppet master has now donned, it looks like a welding suit, maybe combined with like a biohazard suit.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like an old radioactive suit, I'm pretty sure is what the it's supposed to be because they had like that diving bell front.
And he has a knife that he's using to cut off a chunk of the clay over what looks to be, it's not referred to as a forge with sculptors, is it?
It's called a kiln once you dry it.
Yeah, yeah, kiln. That's what it looks like. This is a kiln that he's over top of. Lucky for me that she is blind. She has no idea of what my work really is. And he begins sculpting a puppet out of this clay. But what would she say if she could know that ever since I discovered this quantity of radioactive clay, I have been carving it to gain power for myself? And what does this figurine turn out to be, Shane?
Turns out to be a perfect figurine of the thing.
There, a truly lifelike image of the bestial thing. I shall use this to bait my little trap for the Human Torch and his other two partners. All I need do is place this clay puppet in a replica of my room. Now his living counterpart has no choice but to come here also. I'm amazed. This has to be a very large apartment, right? Because this guy has just so many dioramas. Like, where is he storing all these?
Oh, dude. I mean, you have that one diorama which is massive, so you can only imagine where what he's doing with all these dioramas.
And true to the puppet master's prediction, our scene shifts to the street where we see Ben moving quickly away from Sue. I mean, I assume it's quickly. He's put a car's link between the two of them as a vehicle passes between them. Sue, still invisible, says, Thing, wait, where are you going? Must walk across town, can stop for nothing. And he enters a tenement and begins going up the stairs as Sue still follows him. He's like a man in a trance. What's happened to him? It's as though an invisible magnet is pulling him closer and closer. Ben enters the apartment of the puppet master and Alicia as Sue follows. He entered that room as though obeying a silent command. I am here, he says to the puppet master. Puzzled, Sue enters behind the thing, but the extra sharp senses of a blind girl lead to her undoing. Father, there are two strangers here. I can sense another heartbeat. I can hear another's breathing. There is only one whom it can be, the invisible member of the Fantastic Four. Well, she shall not find the puppet master unprepared. And the puppet master produces 3 gas masks for himself, Alicia, and Ben. First, the 3 of us shall don gas masks. The rest is childishly simple. And he moves to a control on the wall that's labeled what, Shane?
Ether.
Yeah, the gas of ether begins to fill the room. Shane, how's the ether dispenser in your home? Is it
Ah,
functioning?
no, absolutely not, because that is terrifying. Why?
I have questions. So many. And I
I mean,
don't want the answer to any of them.
well, I mean, the man has radioactive, or well, as we know now, magical clay, but at the time was radioactive clay. Do you think the man cared about having a whole bottle of ether sitting on his wall? No, that man didn't care. That man has no qualms about nothing.
I'm wondering if it's like next to the CO2 detector.
No, it's definitely not. Definitely, if that ends up leaking in the middle of the night, they're dead, and he doesn't care.
So this cloud of ether engulfs Sue. Oh my God.
Broke you, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So this cloud of ether engulfs Sue. That odor. It's ether. I've got to get air. The window, if only. No, no use. It's locked. And Sue rushes to Ben and tries to shake him out of his trance. Thing, don't just stand there. Help me. What's wrong with you? What's he done to you? Answer me. Answer me. Once she falls asleep, Sue Storm is no longer able to control her amazing power of invisibility, and she falls visible into the puppet master's arms. So this is the invisible girl. I hope the others will be equally easy to defeat. Between the ether and the way that he's holding Sue, he looks way too happy.
Well, that's because he always has that creepy smile on his face.
The puppet master puts Sue on the couch and examining her looks says, She looks remarkably like you, Alicia. In fact, that gives me an idea. Minutes later, what's happening?
He has made his own Fantastic Four suit for her because he can also work at Dior and is giving her a makeover.
And if you want to know what that means, go back and listen to episode 4 of The Menace of the Miracle Man. That being said, he looks like the world's creepiest barber in this panel.
Dude, that smile just doesn't stop. It's like it's so bad.
If he's got the scissors and he's working on cutting Alicia's hair and he just
I think this creepier thing is when we go back to the earlier when we were talking about the fact that Johnny ends up marrying Alicia at one point. He notices that they look alike. Shouldn't Johnny have noticed that they looked alike?
oh well yeah um yeah ah so many questions that I don't want answered.
I have questions. Just here to just here to broach them for you.
So having bleached Alicia's hair blonde and preparing to cut her locks, the puppet master says, There, it is done. Fashioning a uniform like hers and a blonde wig for you are child's play for the puppet master. So, okay, I guess he didn't bleach her hair. He put her in a wig, but he's still getting ready to cut it. And now, Alicia, while our uninvited guest sleeps, you will take her place. You will play a harmless little prank for me. A little prank? But what, father? Do not question me, just obey. And Alicia caresses Ben's face. This man, his face feels strong and powerful, and yet I can sense a gentleness to him. There's something tragic, something sensitive. Enough of your prattle. Stand back. I want to test his strength. And he places a hammer in Ben's hand. I have put a steel hammer in his hand, and now at my command, what happens?
He crushes it with so much ease, just like a small wooden box.
Almost like glass, it looks like.
Yeah, like that is kind of how the shards work out.
Perfect. He has no will but my will, no brain but my brain. Go with him, Alicia. Say nothing, but do not leave his side. This is all so strange. I do not understand. But I must do as I am told. And Ben takes Alicia by the hand and leads her out of the room, while the puppet master reaches for another puppet. And when they play out their little act, I shall prove my power in another way. I shall use a new puppet, the personal trustee of the warden of state prison. I need only put him behind this model of the warden's desk, and then I carefully manipulate my little puppet, slowly, steadily, until his little clay fingers grab the master key ring from the desk drawer. And at that same moment, many miles away, we find Warden Williams entering his office. And what does Warden Williams' hair look like, Shane?
Well, he looks utterly shocked, but he's a well-dressed guy in a brown suit and nice kept hair and a nice little mustache. But his eyes are intense.
My keys! They're gone! But what of the remaining two members of the Fantastic Four? Let us return to Reed Richards' laboratory, where we find. My experiment is almost completed, Johnny. Too bad the thing isn't here. Listen, the warning buzzer. Someone is entering our private lobby. And Johnny rushes over to the view screen to see who's approaching. I'll turn on the TV viewer and read. It's Sue, back with the thing. They're coming in right now. But in the next panel, what is going on?
The next panel, the thing is grabbing Johnny by the collar and ready to absolutely throw him somewhere.
Wrong, Sonny. We're not coming in. We are in. Reed, come quick. The thing's gone mad. And we turn the page and we are greeted by part three. And what's that title?
The Lady and the Monster.
And to your earlier point, what is happening in this lovely house?
He is absolutely tossed Johnny like he was a little tiny ball.
Reed, I can't flame on yet. Used too much flame during the past hour. It's up to you now. You've got to stop him. And Johnny tumbles past Reed, and Ben charges at him. Reed's lucky enough to duck, and Ben puts his hands through the wall. No, I can tell by his eyes, his expression. Something's happened to him. He doesn't know what he's doing. And Reed manages to duck out of the way again as Ben smashes a table. Only one thing to do. If I can lure him into the lab. And so he does, and the thing crashes through Reed's lab equipment while trying to grasp a hold of him. I did it! Crashed right into the chemical vial as I hoped he would. Now to see if the potion works. As the cool liquid touches his mighty frame, the thing seems to suddenly go limp. Slowly, he sags to the floor, drenched by the strange formula until... Oh, my head. What happened? My face. It's human again. I'm Ben Grimm again. I'm me. And with the change in Ben Grimm, the power of the puppet master ends, and the spell is over. Read. How'd it happen? How? Was this chemical? This is what I was working on in the lab. I didn't want you to know about it in case it failed. You've had so many disappointments, I didn't want you to suffer another one until I was sure. You were doing it for me? And all the time I thought you hated me. Thought you were scheming against me. Reed, I feel like. Stow it, partner. You had every right to blow your top. But now we've still got a job cut out for us. And we turn the page and we see that Johnny is regaining consciousness in an armchair as Ben and Rita check on him. Johnny, are you okay? I didn't mean to hurt you. Say something, kid. He's all right, Ben. All that you hurt was his pride. Hey, you're yourself again. Know something? It's not much of an improvement. But then Alicia makes her presence known. Please, somebody, tell me, where am I? Who are you? That girl. She isn't Sue, but who? I remember now. She's that puppet master's stepdaughter. The poor kid's blind. Don't worry, kid. You're safe and sound. We're all your friends. Your your voice. You are the strong, kindly one. But you seem different now. And Alicia caresses Ben's face, and what begins to happen?
He begins to turn back into his thing form.
No, wait. I wasn't mistaken. It is you. It is the same wonderful man. Ben thinks to himself, I'm back to being the thing again. Must be that chemical stuff. It probably only works while it's on me, but when it dries off, I get back to normal. But the clinker is, she likes me better as the thing. But now, as though racing against time, fate accelerates the speed of our startling tale as we swiftly turn our attention to State Prison, home of the most hardened, dangerous criminals in the nation. And what do we see at the prison?
We see two guards standing on top of it with their rifles ready to, shoot in case anyone tries to run away.
The one guard says, Ever have a feeling something's going to happen, Joe? Oh, you've been reading too many mysteries, Charlie. Perhaps he has been reading too many mysteries, but at that moment, the warden's trustee inserts a master key into an electronic lock, which will automatically open every cell door in the prison. And the trustee says, Must free all the prisoners. Now. Shane, I don't know about you, but I think that it is a terrible idea to have a switch that opens every single cell at once in the prison.
Absolutely the worst idea. Not great. 100% not good.
And so we turn the page and we start part four of our story, which is titled,
Face to face with the puppet master.
and we have another wonderful half page splash where what's happening?
Sue is waking up from behind as the puppet master in one of his earlier, like we were talking about before, one of his brilliantly sculpted dioramas is bringing out all of the prisoners, all of them, and then has cops standing in the corners with their arms up.
Like, how much time does this guy have?
Dude, I want to know, like, how does he know what every single prisoner looks like? Like, does he just go and slowly meet them one by one? He's like, I need 5 minutes with this guy. I need 5 minutes with this guy. I need 5 minutes with this guy. I need 5 minutes with this guy.
Maybe he works in the cafeteria.
Oh, he still wouldn't probably see all of them.
Yeah, Edict memory, works in the cafeteria, go home, sculpts it, doesn't sleep. That would explain so much about his eyes. So She said Sue regains consciousness and she turns invisible and makes her way for the door. The puppet master is so engrossed in manipulating a jailbreak that this is my chance to escape. And as she opens the door, it makes a sound.
Creak!
And she bolts from the door. He heard me. And the puppet master begins to pursue. Who opened the door? The girl. She's gone. Even the invisible girl cannot escape me. Luckily, I had the foresight to make a puppet of her. And he reaches into a cabinet and produces a replica of Sue. All I need do is grasp the puppet's ankles and
So as soon as he grabs her by the ankles, she falls flat on her face, like she's been ripped to the ground from behind with a rope.
oh, I'm falling, as though something is holding my ankles. The sudden shock causes her to forget herself and become visible again. There she is. I've only one chance. My flare gun.
I have a question. Can she only fire the flare gun when she's visible? Because the first time she fires the flare gun, she's visible before she goes invisible, before she follows Ben the second time. And this time she falls, turns invisible, fires the flare gun.
I don't know. Um, let's face it. When she's visible, I guess is when she's most vulnerable. She's always firing it for help because we're caught up in the trope of Sue being a damsel in distress, which I don't like.
If this was written 10 years later, he passes out because she puts him in a bubble. She puts like a force field around his head and just makes him go to sleep.
We're actually pre her being able to make force fields, though.
I'm aware, I'm just saying, like, 10 years, this story doesn't work in 10 years.
It's very true. Um, could you imagine if she would have, like, I don't know, rolled on her back and shot him with the flare gun?
That would have been hilarious. Right in
Like,
his
talk about
big,
human torches, right?
right in his big freaking forehead. What a target.
So Sue fires the flare gun. Luckily, the Fantasticar is sweeping the skies in a frantic search for the invisible girl. And so we see Reed piloting the Fantastic Car with Ben and Johnny and Alicia in tow. There's Sue's signal. It's coming from the stoop of that building. Let's go. And they rush towards the Puppet Master's apartment building. She must be in here. But inside the building, which serves as his laboratory, the Puppet Master has one other creation waiting for his attackers, his largest, most powerful puppet. And describe this puppet, Shane.
Oh, his Iron Giant. It is got no head. Well, I guess it has a head. It's just a big circle. Giant arms, giant feet, giant body, little circle head. Like the top of an antenna.
And as this puppet covers his escape, Puppet Master is pushing Sue out of frame here. My giant mentally controlled puppet will hold them off long enough for me to make my getaway, with you as my hostage. And Reed yells to Ben, who's about to engage the puppet. Careful thing, look at that. Try as he might to bind the robot with his elastic body, Mr. Fantastic takes a terrific pummeling from the mindless monster. And this puppet that Reed has wrapped himself around, this giant robot, that's what it is, begins to bash him off the wall repeatedly, and it makes a noise.
Bam, bam.
And Ben shouts, I've got to help him. And the robot now engulfs Ben in a bear hug as Johnny begins to fly around it in an attempt to circle it with flame. Try to give me a bear hug, will ya? Well, here's something you ain't gonna like. And he nails the robot right in the face.
Yes, he does. Or head structure with a giant pow.
Good work, thing. I can see you don't need any help from me. I never did, hot stuff. Suddenly, the torch flames off as he exclaims, Hey, where's the puppet master and Sue? But the amazing threesome arrives scant seconds too late to see what, Shane?
See the Puppet Master have Sue bound on their breakaway on this Pegasus.
Yeah, this is a mechanical Pegasus. So, all right, here's another question for you, sir. Why does this man have to resort to a life of crime?
I,
Because obviously, this is the most talented man in the world. He is a master sculptor with enchanted clay. Um, but also he is a master roboticist. He has made this giant robot. He has literally made a flying horse robot.
yeah, Pegasus.
I don't understand. You could be competing with Tony Stark.
He could make a whole. Could you imagine if he made an amusement park and could have had a whole amusement park of flying Pegasuses and dragons and all kinds of stuff? He would have been like the coolest Ren Fair in the 60s. He'd be the coolest Ren Fair now. I want a flying.
Exactly.
I want a flying robot Pegasus.
So as he is flying away on this flying horse, of course he begins to monologue. Ha! Even you cannot catch my winged flying horse, my greatest puppet of all. And much to his chagrin, however, Reed stretches out and manages to nab the ropes that are binding Sue and pull her from the puppet master's grasp. I wouldn't bet on it, mister. What? Bah! Take the girl. I have no further use for her. And he is zipping through the sky, serpentining, it looks like.
Yeah.
The torch is after me, but he doesn't suspect that my flying steed is jet powered. And Johnny, losing ground, says, I can't get near him. He's too fast for me. And he begins to fly back towards his compatriots. The puppet master got away. Here comes the torch. Phew, what a chase. My flame is going out. I can't make the window. But luckily, what happens?
Luckily, Reed catches him.
Yep, he stretches out his arm and Johnny is able to grab Reed by the wrist. Easy, Johnny. I got you. You sure are a handy fella to have around, Reed. He pulls the torch back into the room. I wonder what the puppet master's next move will be. Won't have to wonder for long. Listen. And over the TV, we get a news report. Bulletin. There is a strange riot at state prison. The most dangerous prisoners in the nation have broken free. The warden's trustee himself opened their gates. We'll be needed there. And they all hop into the Fantasticar and take off towards the prison. It must be the work of the puppet master. He must have made a puppet of the trustee and controlled it. There's the prison below. Looks like we're just in time. Shane, does it look like they're just in time?
No, it looks like they're just a minute late.
Because what's happening here?
Well, the prison's on fire. It generally means you're late. I mean, I could be wrong.
I think we can agree on that. And we see some guards sitting up outside the prison with the machine guns. One says, Hold your fire, Joe. They've got the warden in there. This other one up front looks like he has a white flag, which means things are going terribly here for the police, I would think.
I mean, yeah, it is going terribly for them, except for that dude has an MG-42, it looks like, and he can just blast away the prisoners. That's a lot of firepower.
It is. The officer with the white flag yells, This is your last chance, Rocco. Release the warden. And from a barred window, holding the warden in his arms, the prisoner named Rocco says, Oh, you want him? Then come and get him. He turns to the other rioting prisoners and yells, Listen, you guys, as long as we got the warden here, we got nothing to worry about. So let's take real good care of him here. But even as the arrogant convicts plan their escape, a blazing, flaming figure melts through the stone wall beneath them. And Johnny, his feet only visible through the hole that he's burrowing, says, I hope I didn't miscalculate the spot I want. Like a fiery avenger, he scorches the earth ahead of him as the intense heat of his body propels him forward until I'm right under them now. I can hear their voices. And Johnny bursts up through the floor of the prison and grabs the warden. Got you! It's the Human Torch. He grabbed the warden. And Johnny bursts through the roof carrying the warden in tow. You're safe at last, warden. And that means my partners can really go into action now. And a group of prisoners moves towards the front door of the yard, I guess is where they're at.
It certainly looks like it.
Let's go, guys. We can still shoot our way out of here. Sure. It'll take more than a walking matchstick to stop us. And Ben begins to charge towards the prison, Reed in pursuit. Wait, Thing, where are you going? I'm gonna grab me a little bit of the action, pal. Like, wow. And turning the page kicks off part 5, titled,
Death of a puppet.
And What is Happening on This Half-Page Splash?
Well, much like we know the Fantastic Four love to do, they are destroying government property by just Ben ripping the door and the surrounding structure around the door out so he can get into the prison to deal with these people himself.
And Reed rightfully yells, Thing, what are you doing? Just watch and see, pal. And as the wall collapses towards Ben because of him yanking it out, we see about 6 or 7 prisoners falling through the wall. One of them yells, Hey, the wall's caving in. Suffering snakes, what's that? And Ben grabs one of the prisoners underneath the armpit. His thumb is literally compressing on this guy's chest.
Yeah, there's a broken rib there.
And he screams, Hey, don't let go! What's the matter? You want out, don't you? And Ben throws this prisoner through the air feet first. Here, have a free ride, compliments of the Thing. The prisoner just shouts, Gangway! And Ben has thrown him into a sand pile that a group of about 6 prisoners have been standing in front of, and they're really caught off surprise. Strike! Right smack dab into the sand pile.
With a nice woomph.
It'll take them a couple of seconds to catch their breath again. Just enough time for me to wrap these iron cell doors together and corral the whole caboodle of them. And what does Ben fashion with these cell doors?
Like a nice small cage with a top and sides, like a lobster cage almost.
And he slams it down on top of, I don't want to say there's about 10 prisoners there.
Yeah, with a giant wham.
But unknown to the Thing, there are still other freed convicts who have seized automatic weapons, and a trio of prisoners with 2 submachine guns and a pistol around the corner. Let's get that big freaking mow him down. Yeah! They open fire. But they have reckoned without the amazing Mr. Fantastic. And Reed puts himself between the prisoners and Ben, and what happens?
He absorbs all the bullets into his body with the elasticity. It just kind of catches them and then throws them back at him.
The elasticity of my body will enable me to absorb the shells, and then, by snapping myself in the other direction, I can fire them back like a slingshot.
Yeah, with a nice thwang.
And the prisoners are forced to throw themselves to the ground to duck for cover. Get down! He's shooting our own bullets right back at us. You don't have to tell me twice, brother. Now then, gents, if you've had enough for today, I'll just relieve you of your weapons before somebody gets hurt. And Reed uses his arm to stretch out and wrap up all the rifles. And I'll group them in little circles of flame where they'll be snug and warm until the guards can round them up. Over here, Torch, I've got a stray for you. And Sue, invisible, is now wielding a pistol on one of the prisoners. A floating gun! A voice from nowhere! Take me to my cell before I go batty! Screw invisible force fields when you've got a man at gunpoint, right?
Yeah,
This whole thing is ridiculous.
I love it.
No longer under the puppet master's influence, the warden directs the mopping up operation. And two officers flank the warden, one of which says, "That's the last of them, warden. Thanks to the Fantastic Four. Now back to the cells with them." Meanwhile, in a lonely room, hidden away in the canyons of the metropolis, a tearful girl stares out of a window with sightless eyes. I never knew. I never suspected what a monster my stepfather was. What if he should return and expect me to help with his future plans? At that moment, as if in answer to her silent thought, what do we see, Shane?
We see the puppet master staring in her room.
Through a cracked doorway.
Hmm.
Good evening, my dear. I have returned in order to manipulate my greatest puppet of all. And the puppet master reaches out for a glass enclosed puppet. And what is it?
It's himself in full like emperor regalia, which is like a Christmas, it's a Santa Claus suit and a Pope hat.
I wish you could see it, Alicia. It is a small figure of me, but not as I am now. No, it is the puppet master, ruler of all the world. Now that I have tested my power and know that it works, I can do anything. I can control armies, nations, anything. Kings and dictators will do my bidding. Do you hear me, Alicia? I hear you. My first act will be to tear down the UN, for it will no longer be needed. The puppet master will control the destiny of nations. And you see that the puppet master, in his popat, as you called it, sitting in a throne and supervising what looks to be a group of Roman soldiers while watching the demolition of the United Nations building. The rulers of all lands will be at my beck and call. I will have but to make a puppet of any man in order to become his master. I will be supreme. And we see a number of world leaders, one of which looks like Castro, another looks like Khrushchev. There's a couple other dignitaries there just serving the puppet master dinner. None will be mighty enough to defy me. Even the Fantastic Four will be slaves of the puppet master. And for them, I shall have a special fate reserved. For their defeat will be my greatest victory. And what do we see as this special fate for the Fantastic Four, Shane?
They are now his steeds to parade around in his chariot there, where he's Puppet Master Rex.
Yeah, Puppet Master Rex. He must be meeting with Namor.
I was gonna say that's what I when I saw that too. I was like Imperious Rex.
Go ahead and describe how the Puppet Master is dressed in his wildest dreams here.
Oh, he's in a different robe now, with this giant pillow behind him and the most ridiculous hat I've ever seen in my life. It is an umbrella hat.
And as the Puppet Master is caught up in his dreams here, Alicia approaches. No, I will listen to no more. It is wrong. It is madness. You have no right. Right. You speak to me of right. I am the puppet master, he yells as he lifts his hand in the air, holding his own puppet. Following the sounds of his voice, the girl reaches out, and Alicia grabs his arm and begins to wrestle with him. No man should ever have so much power. You fool! Let go of my arm! Suddenly, Alicia slips and the puppet falls. Oh, my puppet! And the puppet master rushes to pick the puppet off the floor, while Alicia also tries to reach for it, though she's prone. It fell near here. If only I can reach it. In his frantic haste to seize the puppet before the girl, the puppet master stumbles over her outstretched hand and what happens, Shane?
And he falls out the window
What?
with a
Ah!
you got it, you nailed it.
Seconds later, the Fantastic Four burst into the apartment to find the window. He fell through the window. We saw him down below. Don't cry, Alicia. Everything will be okay now, kid. I swear it. And Alicia buries her face into Ben's chest as he wraps his arms around her to comfort her. What happened, Reed? What made the puppet master fall? And as Reed stares down at the puppet at his feet, he says, I wonder if we'll ever really know. The end. Or so we think, because what do we have, Shane?
We have a Fantastic Four feature page.
And this one is focused on Johnny Storm, explaining how various portions of his powers work. In answer to your enthusiastic request, the editors have given me this page on which to answer some questions about myself. My suit is made of unstable molecules. In their normal state, they look like this. And we see what looks like a normal drawing of a grouping of atoms, correct?
Yep.
But as my flame increases, they vary their structure depending on the degree of heat. And what do they look like now?
They look like a complete different molecule structure.
Yeah, very nonsensical, honestly, with the curves in it. I control my flame through reflex action, just as you control your breathing without conscious thought. When touching another human being, I automatically turn off the flame of the part of my body which establishes contact. And we see him grasping someone's hand. And then in the next panel, we see him shooting a flame beam at a piece of metal. I can control my flame precisely enough to perform delicate welding operations. And then we see him hurl a fireball, or to accurately hurl volcanic fireballs of any size. But one of my most spectacular feats, which I dare not attempt too often, is to create a supernova fireball, whose heat approximates that of an exploding sun. And what do we see there, Shane?
We see a little remnant of an exploding sun.
And then we see some of Johnny's clothes here. And describe some of these here, Shane.
Purple lounge coat, I don't know, with green hat and green button-up shirt and some loafers. He's styling and profiling.
I can't decide whether these clothes would make him look like
A pimp?
a
He looks
pimp,
like a
yeah,
pimp.
like a pimp, or like a like a mid 2000s pop star.
Oh, it's a pimp.
Because I'm looking at this and the only music I can hear in my head is 303.
Oh, if you take away the fur coat, I automatically thought of Mumfords and Sons. So
My clothes, of course, are all chemically treated and completely burn resistant, as is every bit of furniture in my room, which I spray daily with a special chemical vapor. And we see Johnny doing this, and man, I thought vacuuming every day was a pain.
dude, they have backpacks for everything.
Well, good news, Shane. We apparently get another one of these in issue 9 because next issue, the Human Torch answers your questions about his fabulous power to fly. And that is the end of Fantastic Four, Volume 1, Number 8. Shane, what'd you think of this
Hmm.
one?
Oh, I love this one. What did you think of this one?
I like this one. You know me, I'm a big Alicia Masters fan, so it's cool to see her come into the series. I mean, the entirety of just the Puppet Master as a character is ridiculous. I know we're saying that this is a superhero comic book and everything, but I just thinking of the logistics of being the Puppet Master is mind-boggling. First of all, it's not in this issue, but considering the lore that we talked about earlier, the fact that he would have to bring all this enchanted clay back from overseas, that's one thing. Just the amount of dioramas the man has. I guess I kept
And
referring it to it as the apartment building, and they call it an apartment in here, but it makes sense that he would have the entire building because he needs a place to store all that stuff, right? Yeah, and he brought up how many replicas he had of the prisoners and everything. Yeah, it's ridiculous in a fun way, though. And we see him die at the end of the issue, and obviously we know he gets better. It's a fun time. This is a classic, really.
yeah, this is my favorite one in a while. I enjoyed the last one, but this one I like. This is probably my favorite one since like three of the originals.
That's good to hear. Well, shall we get down to our Fantastic Four of the week?
Yeah.
All right, man, we're going to start off with Fantastic Frame. So, Shane, it's your turn to go first. What was
Yeah.
your Fantastic Frame for this issue?
It is page 9, panel 2. Yeah, I really like the fact like she when she's touching Ben's face, really starts to like see the real Ben from the inside for the first time and not just the rock monster that like her blindness lets her see who he really is. And then that shot that you see of him in the foreground is just like he looks so miserable in that shot. It really shows when she's like there's just a sadness to him. So sensitive.
She being Alicia.
Being yeah, Alicia.
I mean, this is iconic, really. This sets up the whole of Alicia and Ben's relationship going forward. Not
Oh,
only is it just an excellently rendered panel, you know, the detail on Ben is incredible in this panel. Hell, the detail on the puppet master is incredible as well. And you also get, I really kind of admire how it's Alicia disguised as Sue, but you can definitely see by the drawing of the eyes, or maybe it's the coloring by Stan Goldberg with the fact that there is no color to her eyes, but you can tell that it is not Sue.
well, I think you can also tell because the way the eyes are drawn is they're staring like above where his head would be.
Yep, very true.
So like not looking at him. And the one thing Kirby's very good at is making sure eyes look directly at something when they're talking or looking at it.
It's
So
very true.
um
But I also think this panel is not nearly as good without Dick Ayers and gang and Stan Goldberg's colors. I mean, I think that this really benefits from an entire team effort. It's one of the few times that I look at something and I go, yeah, Jack was on point here, but I think it's really Dick Ayers and Stan Goldberg who really make this panel come together.
so which was your panel, buddy?
So for mine, we are gonna hop back into page 20, panel 6 for Reed Richards' Slingshot.
Fair enough.
I mean, this is one of my favorite ways that Reed uses his powers on a regular basis. And I really had trouble picking between panel 5 or panel 6, but the sound effect really won me over.
I just want to know how the bullets change direction.
That is very true. That is the one problem with these two panels, but I'm willing to let it slide because they were individually rendered and you get the impression of their speed there, and I don't know. Even the yellow background to it just really makes it pop and that awesome thwang. So,
This is a great panel. It's just my only gripe for me personally was the bullets not spun around.
yeah, that one I can't explain. All right. Well, you're going to grumble about that, but my official grim grumbling for this issue, I have multiple examples, and I'm sure I missed some, but I'm going to go with page 10, panel 6, and page 15, panel 7, page 18, panel 7, and page 19, panel 1, and others, because his name's Ben Grimm, damn it. Call him by his name. Everyone else calls each other by their first name, and he brings up a great point in this issue. They only call him Ben when they want something. It's really it, and the amount of disrespect, and I'm tired of it. And just call him Ben. If he calls himself the Thing, that's fine. If the public calls him the Thing, that's fine. He's part of the team. He's part of the family. Call him Ben. Stop calling him Thing and wondering why he's mad all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I was gonna bring that up, but there's one thing that bothered me a little more than that
Sure.
myself.
What was your grim grumbling for this week?
Um, Puppet Master's treatment of Alicia, where she's like father, and he's like I'm your stepfather, and then he just basically just uses her as like a toy for his own devices.
I mean, that's a
Makes her,
constant thing with Puppet Master, though. Like consistently, I think at least for the first 20 years.
yep, and it's gonna be my grim grumbling every time because she shouldn't fall for it. It's that crappy male writing that we complain about constantly.
Well, I don't think I want to say Alicia after this issue isn't nearly as complicit, and I don't think she really falls for Philip's tricks much going forward. But yeah, him with the constant, I am just your stepfather, I think is just
Yeah, that's one thing. I meant like just the like this one for he then dresses her up as Sue, makes her wear a wig, makes her walk with a one of his little puppets back to the Baxter building and basically essentially breaks in.
I mean, despite what he says later on in the issue, that's because Alicia really is his ultimate puppet here.
It's true. She really is his ultimate puppet. And that's what bothers me the most, I think, is like I said, it's like the damsel in distress. But like he literally just keeps putting her in distress and doesn't just like doesn't put her on like that pedestal or in the balcony to like save her from a dragon. It's like just kind of like just dragging her over the coals slowly every day.
Oh, what was your cosmic cliffhanger for this issue?
Mine was page 10, panel 7. When Ben grabs Johnny by the collar and you're just wondering, well, how's he going to do this? He's going to put him in a ball. Is he going to toss him? Then you flip it to the next page, and obviously he just tosses him. But like, there are so many ways that can go. Not good for Johnny because Ben is so strong, for lack of a better word, and with none of Ben's like regular, I don't want to hurt people really stopping him, just being free range because he's a monster at the time. There that could have went really poorly.
It could have. Johnny was not in a good spot there. And yeah, it was definitely a suspenseful way to leave off that chapter of the story.
What was yours, buddy?
So mine, we're going to jump ahead to page 21, panel 7, when the puppet master returns to his hideout after narrowly escaping the Fantastic Four. But the whole him looking through the partially open door, just how creepy he looks, absolutely sinister, brings up the questions of what is his plan? Is he going for vengeance? Is Alicia in danger? It's a very horror movie-esque moment, and I find myself leaning into those a lot when we do these cliffhangers.
Yeah, you do. You do like to go for the horror, like the horror-esque cliffhangers. This one was creepy, man. I when I first read it, because I was just flipping through the panels and my thing didn't flip at first. Like the app was bugged out and I was like, did it end like that? Because that's really wild. So then I like closed the app and went back in and then the panel worked and I was like, oh, thank heaven.
You were really worried for Alicia there, weren't you?
Yeah, it was. Last but not least, MFP, buddy.
Most fantastic player. This might come as a surprise, might not. I go with Alicia Masters.
I only laugh
Yeah,
because I also chose Alicia Masters.
then it's not a surprise. So yeah, I went with Alicia because despite her blindness, she stands up to her stepfather there at the end, and she's the reason he's ultimately defeated. I mean, he escapes the Fantastic Four, but the fact that she managed to make him throw his puppet on the floor immediately sets up him falling out the windows. So, I mean, at the end of it all, it's Alicia who wins the day for the Fantastic Four. So that's why I went with her for MFP.
Yeah, there was that, and then it was like some of the interactions when she, um, page 13, panel 5 and 6, when or 4, 5 and 6, when like she feels his face nod as the thing, and then when he transforms back, and she's like, "Oh, there he is. There's the guy that I know." When she's like showing Ben, like, "This is who you are now, and you just have to kind of embrace it because I'm going to embrace it," and that to me was like she sees the bigger picture. She doesn't just look at the like obviously because she's blind, she can't look at the front of the book. She's actually trying to read the whole story.
That is true.
And she kind of was the one that propelled through the whole story with like becoming Sue and coming back to the Baxter building and
All great points. No, Alicia's great.
yeah, you're not going to get arguments from me, buddy.
So if you would like to find this story, there are a lot of options. So this issue was first reprinted in a magazine called Creepy Worlds. It was issue 38 way back in September of 1966. It was a British publication put out by Allen Class Publishing. And what that magazine would do, it would just republish various American comics for the British market. Following that up, the first American reprinting was in Marvel Collector's Item Classics number 5, also from October of 1966. And then the Spanish market, such as Mexico, was introduced to this story in 1969 in Los Four Fantásticos number 4. Once again, across the pond, Marvel UK reprinted this in issues 16 and 17 of Volume 1 of Mighty World of Marvel in January of 1973. And then again, 5 years later, in January of 1978, in Complete Fantastic Four, Volume 1, numbers 16 and 17. And of course, you have Marvel Masterworks Fantastic Four, Volume 1 from November of 1978. Essential Fantastic Four Volume 1 from November of 1998, if you'd like to read that in a black and white newsprint format. Today, I reread this issue from the Fantastic Four Volume 1 Omnibus, published in January of 2005. Again, in the British market, thanks to Panini Comics, you get Fantastic Four Adventures Volume 1, Number 8, where you get not only this story, but a couple others, more modern. Shane, I'm assuming you visited your Epic collection, Fantastic Four, Volume 1, World's Greatest Heroes from September 2014.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
A couple years ago, in February of 2018, you could have gotten this for $1 in the True Believers Fantastic Four Puppet Master #1 comic. Back when Ben and Alicia tied the knot in Dan Slott's run, they decided to reprint this as part of Fantastic Four Volume 3, Mr. and Mrs. Grimm in trade paperback. That was in May of 2019. You can also find it in Mighty Marvel Masterworks Fantastic Four Volume 1, The World's Greatest Heroes from July of 2021. This year, cover dated for October 2025, but released on August 13th of 2025, you have the facsimile edition of Fantastic Four Volume 1, Number 8. You can also, of course, find it on Marvel Unlimited. And of course, Shane, this story has been adapted into other media a couple times. First and foremost, it was episode 5 of the 1975 radio show. The episode was again titled Prisoners of the Puppet Master. But would you believe that the Puppet Master didn't make his animated debut in a Fantastic Four cartoon?
You never did?
I mean, he eventually made his way into a Fantastic Four cartoon, but would you like to guess where he made his first animated debut?
Oh, was it Avengers?
No, no, it was not. It was actually in the 1982 Incredible Hulk animated series in episode 6, Bruce Banner Unmasked.
Oh man, I fall asleep to that series a lot. I don't know if I've actually ever sat down and not and watched it. It's usually just like a snooze series.
I like that cartoon. That was my introduction to the Hulk when I was a kid.
My bad 80s one is Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
I could see falling asleep to that show.
Fair
Fun
enough.
fun fact, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends and that Incredible Hulk animated series were paired together when they aired. Back to the Puppet Master. He does finally make his way into a Fantastic Four cartoon in season 1 of the 1994 animated series. In episodes 1 and 2, The Origin of the Fantastic Four, which not only adapt the origin from issue 1, but also Prisoner of the Puppet Master from issue 8 of volume 1. And there's also elements of this story in the Fantastic Four World's Greatest Heroes cartoon. Again, episode 5, Puppet Master. So yeah, a lot of ground covered there, a lot of reprints and adaptations. But I'm sure you're asking yourself, Shane, what are we covering next week?
I am.
Any guesses?
I think via our conversation earlier today that it's going to be Human Torch Volume 2.
No, it's Human Torch Volume 3, Issue
Or, I
2.
mean, issue 2, I meant.
Yeah. So Human Torch Volume 3, Issue 2 by Carl Kessel and Scotty Young. We will be continuing into Johnny Storm's early 2000s solo series next week.
Speaking of Scotty Young, which did you get Fantastic Four Gargoyles?
I did.
Which cover did you get?
I don't remember, man.
I got the Scotty Young cover. That's
I did.
just
I think I just got the cover A for it, honestly.
the Scotty Young cover was just the cover, like the first cover I saw. So
Nice. Yeah, Scotty Young is fun.
It was just ironic. I thought I'd bring it up.
I don't blame you. I think it's a good call out. Listeners, your feedback is important to us. And as always, we would highly appreciate it if you left us a 5-star review on Apple or a comment on Spotify. You can subscribe to us on your preferred listening platform so we show up in your feed each and every week. I know we're not just on Spotify and Apple. I know we're also on Amazon and a number of other platforms. You can find us on Facebook at the Fantastic Four Fancast. There, we encourage you to engage in FF related discussions and share Fantastic Four content. I only ask that you adhere to group rules. Most important to us is to be respectful. Shane, would you believe that we hit 246 members as of this recording?
No, I would not.
Well, you should because we did.
That's amazing.
And you can also follow us on Instagram at Fan4Fancast. That is FAN, the number 4, FANCAST. Finally, you can contact us by email if you'd like to send any feedback or offer any episode suggestions. And that is at fan4fancast@gmail.com. Again, that is FAN, the number 4, FANCAST @gmail.com. Shane, do you have any final thoughts on Fantastic Four Volume 1, Issue 8?
I don't think so. I think I covered it. Like I said, this has been my favorite one in a few issues. It's always nice to see Alicia come in. Now this is like she's now established. Doesn't, when does she become a mainstay?
Pretty much from here on out, she's pretty mainstay. I got a question for you. Which do you prefer? Alicia was introduced here, or the way that Alicia was introduced in Volume 2?
The way she was introduced here.
Okay. I just, figured it was a question that I could ask considering that we have covered now 2 introductions to Alicia Masters.
Oh yeah.
For Shane Murray, I'm Nate Charles. We'll be back again next week with Human Torch Volume 3, Number 1. Until then, listeners, stay fantastic.